Hello, and welcome to episode 81 of TBR, the To Be Read podcast, where we talk about the books we love and the topics that interest us. I'm Patrick Stemp, and as always, I have Michael Ronn here. How are you, Michael?
I'm fantastic. How about you, Patrick?
Good. And John L. Monk. How are you, John?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So tonight is our last broadcast before Christmas and our second last broadcast of the year. So we're going to hit up our sort of holiday wish lists and what are some of the things that we have on our wish lists. Probably mostly books, but maybe not all of them. And before we do that, we will do our weekly roundtable and talk about the books we've been reading over the past week. If we can, we got a kid screaming in the background, but that's okay. Michael just muted himself, so John, do you want to go first? What have you been reading?
Oh yeah, what am I reading? Okay, I actually put aside briefly this other book that I was reading because you know that I'm writing a post-apocalyptic book right now, and I needed some sort of grist for the mill, and so I asked my wife, of all things, hey, because she's really into survival-y stuff, you know, what's a good survivalism kind of novel, and she said, Alas, Babylon. Have you guys heard of it?
No, I don't think so.
That one.
Okay, so check this out. It's basically almost like a modern classic. It was written in 1959. Hold on, I'll give you the guy's name. Written in 1959 by Pat Frank, which is the pen name of Harry Hart Frank. It was one of the very first post-apocalyptic novels in the sort of nuclear age. You know, it has all stuff in there about fallout and yield and radiuses and all kinds of cool stuff about like sort of like the international politics that were going on back then, you know, ratcheted up a bit so that you could have a nuclear war. Writing is very, very good. It's modern, you know, when I say it's modern, it doesn't read like something from like 20s or something like that. Or there's a lot of, it's also a little tiny bit old-fashioned in the sense there's a ridiculous amount of description sometimes about different characters. Like he'd introduce like the housekeeper and spend two pages getting us to know the housekeeper and her quirky ways. And it's really funny and fun in that respect, but it's sort of stretches out the apocalypse a bit longer than maybe I was hoping for. I thought it was a shorter book. I'm about 75% done. I was hoping I would be done before today so that I could kind of get back into this other thing I was reading. But it's still really good. Got a lot of insights. It inspired The Postman by David Brin, you know, and a bunch of other types of post-apocalyptic things. It's sort of like the archetype for the nuclear fallout type book.
That's cool. Postman was a great novel.
I love The Postman. I even liked the movie, even though everybody else trashed it. I thought it was.
Haven't seen the movie. It's got Kevin Costner in it, right?
Yeah. Why are you shaking your head?
No, I haven't seen it. I just heard people rip on it.
It's got Kevin Costner in it, doesn't it? So.
I'm thinking like Waterworld or something, you know. That's
Yeah.
why I think Kevin Costner, but
I get it.
He could give Nicolas Cage a run for his money in doing terrible movies.
I don't know. I think Kevin Costner takes the cake.
John, have you ever read 1 Second After by William Forstchen?
Yeah, I read it. It was absolutely amazing. It blew my mind. Actually inspired us to get a sort of, you know, we didn't go crazy bug-eating prepper, but we did get like about a year's supply of food. I figure that's good whether a EMP hits or a meteor wipes out the West Coast and all of our food supply, or some horrible disease hits. It was fun to do, to kind of like, you know, like stock it up. It was almost like a really an almost practical hobby, you know. So yeah, I did read it. It scared the crap out of me. So
Hopefully none of your neighbors are listening to the podcast.
Well, you know, I've got neighbor protection, so I'm American.
Well, there you go. How about you, Michael? What have you been reading?
It's been a slow week for me, but I made some more progress in How to Work a Room by Susan Ronn, and basic like social skills, things like that. And the reason I've been kind of slow at it is because I've actually been putting some of it into practice. So it's been kind of interesting, and it's a very practical book in that sense, like going to a place where you've never been before and using some techniques that might make you a little bit uncomfortable to meet some strangers, right? And like she talks about this idea in the book that strangers that what we think are strangers really aren't strangers, right? Because if you're in a place, I don't know, like a gathering or something, the roof is the introduction, is one of the quotes that she uses in the book. So I am a textbook INTJ. So on the Myers-Briggs scale, like that's the textbook introvert. So it's very hard for me to get out of my shell and be outgoing, but I've learned to get better at that in the last couple of years. So this has been kind of a good way for me to get a little bit better at that. And
So is that the lesson you're going to pass on to your daughter? A stranger is just a friend you haven't met yet?
no, I don't know about that. I think I'll wait till she's like 59 before I give her that lesson. No, but I like it a lot. I like it a lot. I should be able to finish it over the Christmas holiday and finally get back into a regular reading swing. Like,
Okay.
things have just been crazy for me this last month. But I did start listening to another audiobook again, and that's a re-listen of Be a Free-Range Human by Marianne Cantwell. So I said I was going to listen to it again this year and didn't get around to it, so I'm doing it this December. It's not too late for the end of the year, but definitely one of my favorite books of last year, and I'm about halfway through it now, and still one of my favorite books ever. I don't know. Have you read that, John?
No, I haven't. I haven't read a whole lot of like, I guess, self-improvement type things, except for
Okay.
maybe some diet stuff. However, I do think it's really cool that you're taking these steps to sort of, fill or shore up some areas that you find kind of like, problematic in your life or whatever. You're constantly improving yourself. Yeah, that's really cool and admirable. In the quiet of my house or whatever, I sort of want to pick up how to work a room because, I think that's kind of interesting. Sort of like, you could become almost like an uber human with like 18 plus charisma, walking into a room and sort of subjugating the masses to your awesomeness. In my mind, you see. That's
Exactly. You just walk into a room and everybody like bows down.
yeah,
That's how you
that's
do it.
great.
It's cool. Like for 2016, like we all have goals, right? And a big goal for me in 2016 is relationships and just working on those, getting new ones, to strengthening the ones that I have, and so all the nonfiction books that I'm reading lately, be it Free Range Human, one of them, and How to Work a Room, are kind of helping me with that. So yeah, that's my week. How about you, Patrick?
Okay. Well, let's see. I finished reading the Walking Dead Compendium, which is the third one, which I wasn't planning on starting to read until Christmas holidays, but I got kind of ahead of myself and picked it up one day and just started blasting through it. It's a massive beast of a book. It's, I think, the next 48 issues of the comic. If you watch the show, which I don't think either of you do,
I do.
anyone listening oh yeah, so
Mhm.
man, it's hard for me to imagine. I know the guys who are running the show, they've said that they know what they're going to be dealing with in season 10 of the TV show. They've planned that far ahead if all things go their way and the show's still on then. I think I have to have read at least that far based on the pacing of the show. There's some amazing things coming up. If you do enjoy the show and you've never read the comic, I highly recommend picking up these compendiums. They're huge, and it's just so interesting to see where they're the same and where they diverge. And just when you think they've dealt with the most dastardly character that they could possibly meet in this world, they meet someone worse, or who might be worse. It's kind of a bit of a cliffhanger where it ends at the end of this compendium, and hopefully it's not like 2 or 3 years before the next one comes out, because I don't want to start buying the individual comics. I just kind of like to keep the collections. And I read 3 books by David Thorne. Have you guys heard of David Thorne?
No.
No. He's a humorist and an essayist. He's Australian, but he lives in the U.S. now. You may be aware of him without realizing it if you've ever seen, because some of his posts I think have kind of gone viral in the past. There's one called Missing Missy, which you may or may not have heard of. Doesn't look like it. he's a like a graphic designer, and he some of the stuff he posts are emails where he gets into it with coworkers or other people, and people who want him to work for free, or just products that he's bought that he wasn't pleased with. But anyway, so the 3 books I read were I'll Go Home Then, It's Warm and Has Chairs. Look, Evelyn, Duck Dynasty Wiper Blades, We Should Get Them. And That's Not How You Wash a Squirrel. And actually, the last 2, so the Look, Evelyn, and That's Not How You Wash a Squirrel are actually in Kindle Unlimited right now. So you can check those out for free. And they're his thoughts, essays, and some of these email exchanges that he has with people. It's some of them, there's quite a bit of pictures in some of them, so probably I was reading them on my phone, and you can zoom in on the images, but some of the letters and the like, there's one where he has like, I can't remember the number, but it's something like 12 formal HR complaints against him from one guy in his office that he's messing with all the time, and he's put those complaints.
Awesome.
You can, and honestly, you can get probably 90% of all of this content off of his blog. So if you go to his blog, you can just sort of start flipping through. A lot of that stuff's there, and the address is it's www.27b/ spelled out, so slash6.com. So it's 27b/6.com. So if you're looking for, I just kind of picked up, I've enjoyed some of his essays in the past, and I noticed that one of his books, That's Not How You Wash a Squirrel, was in KU, so I grabbed it, and it gave me some laugh out loud moments. I guess I was in the mood for some comedy, so I ended up banging through 3 of his books in the period of a week. So if you're looking for something, funny, check him out for sure. His blog is and the books are just a lot of fun if you have a good sense of humor.
Yeah, I love essay books. It's been a long time since I've read one.
He's hilarious.
Is it real? Is it his stories about the HR and all that stuff? Are they based on reality?
Yep. He worked in a design company in Australia, and a lot. I mean, I can't say 100% how much of it is embellished or true, but from what I can tell, most of it seems legit. He does get into it. He got in trouble with McDonald's a while ago, actually. He posted a fake memo online, supposedly supposed to be an internal memo from McDonald's, where one of the, a VP or somebody was discussing internally only that they should purposely leave out items for every 3rd or 4th car that went through the drive-thru, and because they could save thousands of dollars a week in food costs, because 9 out of 10 people will probably just curse McDonald's, but they're not going to go back. It's too late because they've already driven away. So he posted this fake internal memo, and I think he actually got in a little bit of trouble for it. And that's
cool.
Yeah, he also got in a little bit of trouble, and of course when he gets in trouble he tends to post the interaction. So his most recent one that you may have seen, again without realizing it was him, he had an email exchange with someone in charge of marketing at Barnes & Noble, because he sent out a notice on the web that he was going to be at all these different Barnes & Noble locations to do book signings, but he never set that up with Barnes & Noble. So he had this, he had this woman emailing him saying, "Who did you talk to at Barnes & Noble to set them up?" And he said, "Nobody, I'm just, was just planning on showing up." And she said, "You can't do that. You can't just show up for a book signing." And he says, "Well, how hard is it to set up a folding chair and a table? Like, it'll be okay. I'll take care of it myself." And it's just back and forth with this woman.
That's cool.
Yeah. So anyway, check him out.
Guy.
Oh yeah, he's hilarious. He has a very low threshold for stupidity, and when people call him out on his website because they don't like something he's doing, he just kind of pulls them into his whirlwind and goes at it with them too. So check him out for sure. Just do a Google search for David Thorne, Thorne, and the top link will probably be his blog. And that was my reading for the week. So we can move on to our topic and talk about some of the things we have on our holiday wish lists. Anybody want to go first? What's a book or something related that you're looking to find under the tree this year? Or
All right.
I've got one. Oh,
okay,
go ahead,
you go first. I went first last time. So.
I've got one that I'm going to put under the tree myself, and that is The Wonder Book by Jeff Vandermeer.
You're putting it under the tree yourself for yourself?
No, I'm just going to buy it.
Okay.
I got some more Barnes & Noble gift cards, and I never get Barnes & Noble gift cards, and I had one where it wasn't enough to buy the book, and it's like, I don't want to, So I got enough to finally get those, and I'm going to grab it, and hopefully I've enjoyed it. Hopefully I'll enjoy it as much as you and Jamie have, because I know you guys.
Yeah, I've only read like the very early kind of parts of it. But it's a gorgeous book, and definitely one that you want to own in physical format, not digital. I don't even know if you can get it digitally.
I think you can, but I don't think it's the same.
It's definitely, that's a great one to have. I have one on my list that's another one that you would definitely want to have physically, and that is one I just kind of found on the shelves browsing in the bookstore recently. It's the Back to the Future, The Ultimate Visual History. It is a massive hardcover book that covers all three movies, and they go into a ton of detail, including all of the work that they put in. I mean, they shot pretty much the whole first movie with Eric Stoltz. So I was, reading a little bit of this in the bookstore. I always knew that Eric Stoltz had been in it, but I didn't know how much of the work they had done before they brought Michael J. Fox on to replace him, and the sort of secret meetings that they had to hire Michael J. Fox. And this was while he was doing Family Ties, so he had to kind of do both at the same time. And how much money they lost, like $4 million or something in reshoots by getting rid of Eric Stoltz and bringing him in. Anyway, this massive volume of just pictures and interviews and drawings of the scenes, and they've got little things in there, like there's an envelope glued inside one of the pages that's the letter that Marty wrote to Doc in the past to hopefully save his life when he turned into the future. So if you're a fan of the series, I mean, it just looks like a beautiful sort of collection of history about Back to the Future, and that's again something you couldn't have digitally.
Yeah,
so
that sounds awesome. Yeah, this has really been Back to the Future's year because of the whole 2015. If you guys saw that in the news, where they kind of had the Back to the Future Day. Yeah, I would love to own that. That'd be awesome.
How about you, John?
Excuse me. What am I doing? What do I want? Well, I want a PlayStation 4. I'm not going to get one. It's not. It's too much money this year.
Can you read on a PlayStation 4?
I really want to play Fallout 4 so much. It's almost crazy how much I want to play this game. So if there's any fans out there, that's what I resorted to, begging the fans. Okay, so I'm kidding. I'm not going to beg anybody, except for my wife.
So you're not a PC gamer, is your computer not good enough to?
I have a Mac. I've got a very fast MacBook Pro that I play my PC games on. It's my work computer, but stupid Fallout 4, they're not making it for the Mac. Now I've got an emulator in there to play. I mean, I could play it on through Windows, maybe dial down the graphics if I had to, but
it's just not the same.
I don't know if it comes down to it. If I don't get one by my birthday, which is in March, I might just bite the bullet and see how the emulator works.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I've asked for a
Sorry,
nice.
what? I just wanted to say, did you see? I had seen an article earlier this week about a guy, I think in Germany, who's supposedly suing Bethesda because Fallout 4 ruined his life.
Yes. Yes.
And I gotta check Snopes on that one, but if it's true, that's crazy. You know, he said he lost his job, he lost his wife. They should include a warning on the game about how addictive it is, because if he'd known, he wouldn't have played it until he was off on holiday, and so be careful.
Careful out there, guys.
I could starve to death in front of the game. I'll make the next one fairly quick. So the dumb book I'm writing, there's a scene where the kid, it's a character, it's a kid. His dad is like super into making the kid sort of like be ready for when he's 18 to sort of get on and hit the ground running. So like he basically encourages them to start sharpening knives for various people and various, they go around, put flyers up, we'll bring them back to factory perfection, just give us a call, we'll be by, we'll bring them back, with no information that it's the kid. And so I got to know a little bit more about sharpening knives. I watch some videos and stuff, but I want to get that sort of muscle memory. We've got a bunch of dull, like really nice knives that you couldn't cut yourself if you tried. So I'm going to get some stones and I sharpen them up and get them real nice, and hopefully get that extra bit of research behind me that I can write this stuff believably. Yeah,
that's cool. That's admirable.
Yeah.
In that way, you can survive the apocalypse too if it happens.
Yeah, I could.
Last thing you want are dull knives in the house.
You just don't want dull knives if the zombies are coming.
No. Well, I have another book. It's hard. Like last year, I feel like I had like books right on my list of things like that I wanted to read, but like this year, like the only books I have are like what we're talking about, like novelty books, or I shouldn't say novelty books, but like Walking Dead Compendium graphic novels, or like the Wonder Book. So one that I had on my list this year was, and I think I had it on my list last year, is The Collected Mouse Guard. It's a graphic novel series that I read last year that was one of my favorite books of 2014. I love the art. It's just fantastic. Comics and graphic novels are one of those things, there's apparently a really killer app that's coming out next year that's supposed to make reading comics and graphic novels on your iPhone like much, much better than they've ever been. Better than like Comixology. But I just still feel like it's just not there yet. Yeah, so I would definitely like to read that, or like to have that, so I could read it, and then Saga. Instead of having to check it out from the library.
Right. So I've got a couple things there. So I also have I have a book on my list that was probably on my list last winter, and it's really kind of starting to tick me off a little bit, is Stiletto, which is the sequel to a book that came out probably like 4 years ago by now, called The Rook by Daniel O'Malley. And it was just a great British secret society, supernatural, so the Rook is sort of just one of the layers of this group that sort of protects the general population from supernatural beings. And there's this whole organization. And the main character, starts off, she kind of wakes up in a field with no idea who she is, and a letter in her pocket from herself saying, trying to sort of to lead her through the book. She keeps discovering these letters. And anyway, I loved The Rook and have been waiting for the sequel. It was supposed to come out, I think, in like January of 2015. It got pushed back to June. It got pushed back to, I had thought it was supposed to come out January or February 2016, and I just found out recently that it's been pushed back to June or July of 2016. So I don't know what's going on with this book. I know he's a very slow writer from the sounds of things, and so part of it may be him getting behind schedule, and then who knows, maybe the publisher asked for changes, but whatever the reason, it's a little frustrating. It would definitely be on my list if it hadn't been pushed back again by 6 months. The other one that's definitely on my list, and this is one that I'll probably get a physical copy because it's one that my wife is reading too and she hasn't made the leap to digital, is Calamity, which is the third book in Brandon Sanderson's Steelheart. It's the Reckoners series, which starts with Steelheart and then Firefight, and the last book in the series, Calamity, is coming out in I think it's coming out in February, so that would definitely be on. These are books that would be on my list if they were coming out a little sooner, or hold on to a gift card and get it when when they actually do come out. And I was going to say too, like this is sort of the paper versus plastic thing, the physical versus digital. And my wife not making that leap yet. It's frustrating, not frustrating, but it's funny because she wants, for example, the complete or some sort of collection of Dickens. And you can find them, and there's a nice collection for like $120 or something for 7 of his books, or you can get them on KU for free. Or I think I paid $1.99 for the complete works of Dickens. So making that leap to digital is a good money saver for sure if you can do it, especially for stuff like that, right? That really kind of should be cheap these days. Anyway, that's a few of mine.
That's awesome. Rook sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, the Rook. So this is, I guess we can. I don't think we've mentioned this on the show, but one of the things we've been talking about is taking turns picking a book maybe once a month, and all 3 of us reading it and then talking about it once a month. And so if we do decide to go forward with that, I'm thinking that the Rook will probably be one of the ones that I pick in 2016. I think I have 2 or 3 books. So that's something we're talking about, and we should maybe talk about it a little bit more after the show and decide if we're actually going to do it.
I want to do it.
Yeah, I said I'm up for it. I think it'd be fun. We've never done it before, so
it'd be cool actually if we could actually get some of the viewers to sort of maybe read along. We announce it and they read along. If they want to, they got things to do.
Sure, we can let Amber pick. Let Amber pick the book once, since she's kind of probably our most the viewers listener who recommends the most books to us anyway.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good.
So if you're listening, Amber, I'm sure you are, start thinking about what book you'd like all 3 of us to read one month soon.
Guest choice.
Anything else on your guys' lists? What else do you have?
I just want to say that I don't want to listen to I don't want to read Infinite Jest or anything too huge.
Crap, that was the first thing on my list.
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Moby Dick second, That's the way to kill all the podcast guests, podcast hosts. Just make us read Moby Dick for a month.
Decline and follow the Roman Empire or something like that. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say I had a couple of things on my list that would just be really nice, like as a gift subscription to give anyone, really, but especially me, for all those people. I'm just kidding. One of the things I would love, I had it earlier this year, but I just couldn't justify it, and that was an Audible subscription.
I canceled mine too.
I love Audible. Like, there's just what is there not to love about that subscription? But the problem is, I just can't. I just feel like it's just so hard to get your money's worth every month, because you use a credit for a book, but almost all the books you're getting are either at a discount or you can get them through the WhisperSync program. So, what do you spend your credit on? So I guess I always struggle with that. So that would be a cool thing I'd like as a holiday read, so I could listen to more audiobooks. And then, I don't know, a subscription to Comixology, which I don't know if they do subscriptions, do they? I thought they did.
I'm not sure.
Some kind of a way to consume comics on a regular basis, like a subscription. I know they let you subscribe to series, like you can subscribe to like The Walking Dead, for example, like as each issue comes out, but that's like $2 or $3, maybe more per issue. But it would be cool if there was some way to have like a comic book subscription. I think almost like a Kindle Unlimited. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I canceled my Audible because I found I listen to a lot of podcasts and I listen to a lot of music because I have Spotify, and I don't have enough time to add Audible to add books to that, because I'm already reading physical books. I wasn't getting through my credits.
Yeah,
and honestly, I was also having a hard time finding stuff that I wanted to spend the credits on that were worth listening to. I had a few bad experiences with narrators. that that ruined the experience of the book. So
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's a ton of quality stuff on Audible. The hard part is just the discoverability, right? Because it's like, well, Audible has the titles that they're promoting. That's right on the front page. But after that, like, how do you find quality audiobooks to read? I have no idea.
I'm starting to find that problem with Amazon. Period. I noticed this recently because I've been trying to pay a little more attention to the Amazon sort of top lists, and I realized that the books that are on the top 100, paid or free, in different categories, whatever, it's whatever BookBub sent out that week. Is what I'm finding.
So true.
And that's kind of a little bit annoying. It's basically whatever BookBub is sending out is skyrocketing those books to the top in all of these different categories, which isn't surprising, but I hadn't really noticed it because I just happened to be on Sunday because I just get their weekly email. And so it's like 30 books all at once, and I scanned through that list looking to see if there was anything I was interested in, and then I went to Amazon, just looking at their lists, top 100, paid, free, science fiction, thrillers, whatever, and it was the same bloody list. So it's kind of the Amazon lists are really being affected by BookBub, from what I can see, rather than what people are genuinely going and buying for themselves. So that's a little weird.
Yeah, and Amazon is just getting it's becoming a tougher. I'm sorry, you haven't spoken at all, John. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's awesome. I mean, I want to get a BookBub and be on those lists and really irritate Patrick. That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's not irritating. It's just interesting.
It's like a mixture of both, Like, I mean, I love BookBub, right? I mean, I've never been featured there, but I love what they stand for, and one day I'd love to be part of a BookBub. But at the same time, like, yeah, you're right. I don't want to read just what BookBub is recommending. Like, I want to read what's organic, like what's organically popular, right? Like, if I'm going to browse the top 100 list, like, I don't really care that 100,000 people from BookBub are buying a book. I would much rather read the books that people are actually searching for.
Maybe on Goodreads, you could use Goodreads to find out what is organically popular. I mean, I know that they also get Goose too. When I've done 2 BookBubs. So when I did my BookBubs, I saw suddenly more people adding my book on Goodreads. So maybe you got to go past the adding the books to the reading of the books. So if you can look at who's reading books, that might be more, because all those little groups, they share what they're reading. Individuals grab stuff off BookBub, but groups will be sharing stuff that's popular enough that it won't irritate everybody in the group. No infinite jest.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So I've got, I think, 2 more, but one's really easy. I was just going to say, for me, generally, Amazon gift cards are like the greatest thing ever. I probably spend more money on Amazon.ca than I do anywhere else these days. Whether it's buying presents for other people, I love shopping from home. Amazon's got it all. Books, just everything. But one of the things that I thought I wanted and then was kind of second guessing, and this is not a book, but it's Justified, the series on DVD, and I was looking at not even just for Christmas, but just to buy it for my wife and I, because it's probably our favorite show of the last few years. But it's one of those series where it looks like you might be, although it would be more expensive, you might want to get it season by season, so pay $20 a season rather than $70 for the whole series, because it's, I don't know why they cheap out on these so often, these sets. And from what I can see, the Justified complete series box set is done kind of like a book, and when you open it up, I think it's 19 discs, and they're just put in this hole without anything separating the discs from one another. They're just dropped in this hole and stacked on top of each other, and so there's been complaints about the discs getting scratched because maybe some of the imagery on one disc can maybe scratch the disc above it. a little bit. I wish they would pay a little more attention to. I mean, even was it That 70s Show is one that I had picked up the entire series because like Walmart had it for $10 or something crazy like that. And it's another one where all the discs are just kind of slammed in there, but every single disc is in its own separate paper slip cover, at least just to protect them, right? So it's a shame that they've kind of ruined that set by packaging it like that. But so it's a series that we'll probably get, one season at a time, and it's definitely worth it.
Can't you get it digitally and just have like I know I buy seasons all the time digitally, and they're just in my digital library over on Amazon.
But then you're limited to what you can watch them on, right? We want to be able to pop them in on the DVD player and.
Oh, I see. So okay.
You don't own them either.
We have one TV in the house.
Yeah, I don't want to be.
They could take it away tomorrow, and then you would have to buy it all over again.
Right, and that's of course the same with all our books.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's that problem.
Yeah.
Too. We won't go into that.
If they refunded me the money, they could do that, I think, and I mean, I'll take it.
Amazon could
delete it.
Yeah, Amazon could delete every book we've ever bought tomorrow, and we would have no recourse.
You don't own your Kindle books; it's just a license.
Yeah, but you get the money back.
They can delete it whenever they want.
I'm not as worried. So.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about Amazon doing that.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything else on my list. You guys?
I don't either, other than like an up-to-date Kindle. I don't know how I feel about e-readers, but I still think it would be awesome to have one of the front-lit Kindles. I had a Kindle Touch. That was my last e-reader, and that was just before they released the front-lit version. And I think the new Kindle Voyages are kind of awesome. I think it would be cool to have one of those.
I went looking this week because I thought, the Kindle Fire is out in the U.S. it's like a $50. They just launched that a few months ago, and I thought, like I said, my wife hasn't made the leap to digital yet, but that it might be for $50. Why not get her one, and so she can try it out a little more, and then maybe she'll get into it. And if not, then I guess I've got an extra Kindle lying around. But I went so. You can't get any of them in Canada, so I'm like on the Canadian site, but you can't get any of the Kindles. Like all of the Kindles, other than I think the basic Paperwhite, on the Canadian website are listed as not currently available, not available, not available. Like you can't order a Kindle device online right now from Amazon, and I kind of wonder. It doesn't make any sense this time of year. They want to sell devices, and I wonder if they might be doing some. Maybe they're going to release the Fire in Canada on Boxing Day or something, and so they made all the rest of them unavailable for now. I honestly don't know, but I'd love to find out because I was, ready to buy a Fire from them, and they won't ship it's one of those things that if you look on Amazon.com as a Canadian. Buyer, it'll say this device does not ship to Canada, so you would have to buy it from a third party and probably pay twice as much. I'm not going to do that. So, But yeah.
Well, there goes Canada being the red-headed stepchild of North America, as always, right?
Yeah. Is that it for John? You got anything else on your list?
No, sir.
Yeah, I'll say I as we get older, there's really not ever a whole heck of a lot on any kind of list for me for holidays because, if there's something we want throughout the year, we kind of get it, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we're stockpiling a list of things that we want. And for me, most of it's I'm probably pretty hard to shop for because most of what I buy these days is digital books or Amazon, right?
Yep. Yeah, same here. Or
Fallout 4. I have Fallout 4. Maybe I'll play it after the podcast.
Just a spite, John.
What's that?
Just a spite, John.
Oh, I'm gonna get another. I'm gonna go on another podcast. You guys can get somebody else.
I think I'm gonna go buy a PlayStation 4 after this, and I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
I don't even play games anymore.
Jerks.
So with that, to all our listeners and viewers, thanks for being with us this year. And as however you celebrate and whatever you celebrate, we hope you have a great holiday season. And we're looking forward to you being with us through 2016. We do have one more episode to close out the year. We'll be talking about our top reads of 2015 next week to close out the year. And then to open 2016, I think we'll probably have a conversation about all of the books that we're planning on reading in 2016, or at least some of them, and maybe that's the point where we can dive in and start reading a book a month, the three of us together, and talking about it at the end of the month. So we will talk about that and circle back with everyone later on what we've decided. In the meantime, have a great week, have a great holiday, happy reading, and we will talk to you soon.
Happy holidays,
Night,
everyone.
guys.